the next one too. I'm just super thrilled because this is very, very close to my heart. Before I bring in the next guest, I will be calling upon Vaibhav Sharma. He is a bank tech leader for Tavant Technologies. Hi, Vaibhav, are you there?
Hey, Debbie, how are you?
Hey, good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so before I know you want to do the honors and introduce the next guest, but I think he's one of those digital influencers of our times whose technological bent of mind is totally getting into, intruding into people's privacy, creating a unique mark of major personalization and, banking transformation. And this person is definitely, his background, I would say, is close to my heart because just as he's representing innovation side of a bank, that, prior to Tavant, I come from innovation group as well from another bank. So the stage is all yours, Vaibhav. Go ahead and let's do the honors.
Thank you, Debbie, and very eloquently put, I must say, hyper-personalization, which is close to our heart, is invasion of privacy. Thank you for that. I have the pleasure with me today to have Lincoln Parks. Lincoln is a digital banking expert. He's the Chief Innovation Officer. He's a thought leader, entrepreneur. He's Innovation Officer at Heritage Southeast Bank, which is headquartered in Jonesboro, Georgia. And Lincoln is also serving the marketing committee of Community Bankers Association of Georgia. And apart from that, Lincoln is on the board of several organizations. Lincoln, I hope I didn't miss out anything. It's a pleasure.
No. And thanks for having me today, Vaibhav. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Excellent. So I just dive into it, Lincoln. And I just want to sort of understand from your perspective, because you work not only with single bank, but along with other community banks. And of course, pandemic, the digital acceleration, we've all seen it. In your opinion, what's the state now for community banks? Where are they now? Are they still lagging on that, trying to come to the speed on digital acceleration? Are they there? Or where do you see the industry from a community banking perspective and then from Heritage perspective?
Well, quite frankly, I think digital transformation has become a matter of survival at this point. And when you look at the community banks, I think community banks are coming along. I think community banks are still way far behind, but it also depends on, where you are as an organization. What are your business objectives, your target audience, your digital maturity, and the organizational structure and what you have behind you. Right now, and I know you mentioned me being a part of the Community Bankers Association of Georgia Marketing Committee. I'm also a part of the Innovation Committee for the CBA. And one thing that we are doing is trying to enhance fintech among community banks. So, we have organizations that we've partnered with like ATDC in Atlanta through Georgia Tech, and also the Georgia FinTech Academy, FinTech Atlanta. So there's many different components to it. So I think the community banks are hearing about this, but there's still a vast gap when it comes to technology, and that could be because of resources and they just don't know who to contact. So through some of these organizations, I think community banks are learning a lot more now, and some banks are further along than others, but it's still a huge gap when it comes to the community banks. And when it comes to Heritage Southeast Bank, I would say we are in the middle of the pack right now. We were way behind, before I moved into this role. And as I was evaluating what was going on in the role and what we were doing as a bank, I know previously we had implemented interactive teller machines. So those were out there, and those were things that we were already thinking about that. And now through COVID, as you could see, previous to COVID, these were implemented, and our customers weren't really excited about those because they didn't want to interact. They still wanted to come in, and that's fine. But one thing that really helped out the bank was having these already implemented pre-COVID. So as COVID came about, the introduction of that and the use went way up because our customers now had the ability to not come in the bank because the bank was closed, but use some of those the technology like an interactive teller machine. So I think for us, what we're doing is we're leveling the playing field at Heritage Southeast Bank and evaluating where we are, and then seeing where we can take that. So we want to make sure that we work with the right people in order to get us to where we need to be.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm glad you had that interactive teller sort of put out, because that's sort of a segue into my next question as well on the customer expectations in this situation or environment. I do understand that now life's returning to normal and people are sort of visiting the branches probably. But what is the change in customer expectation that you're seeing prior to COVID versus now, and how are you addressing it? And is there, we touched upon this invasion of privacy, and I'm just going to go to hyper-personalization or contextualization primarily. Is that a path for community banks and Heritage as well?
Yeah, I would say for while the bank was focused heavily on innovation, like I said, the past 5 years we started like an innovation path, and then now I think what customers are really looking for is they're looking for ease of use. And as head of innovation for the bank, and as long as I'm in this position, one thing that I'm looking for also with my marketing background is to make sure that the customer experience is a great experience. I've been a part of a couple other organizations, and even previous to me being in the banking industry, I use banking apps that were way outdated, and it felt like we were in the Stone Age. And I know for me coming into Heritage Bank and seeing some of the things that have been implemented there, I know that I wanted our customer experience to be through the roof. I wanted that experience to make sure that we can service our customers. We still have a demographic of customers that want to come into the bank, but at the same time, we need to service those individuals that, like someone mentioned before, you have your mobile phone, you want to be able to take advantage of using your mobile phone, and that app needs to do that. Now, when we talk about hyper-personalization, that's really huge for us. And I know we're starting the path off with our digital account opening process. And then from there, we want to build off of that and move into our consumer lending and then commercial lending as well, because we're a big commercial shop. We want to make sure that we have that gateway in order for us to help our customers out. So what we're trying to do along that entire journey, there's a couple different paths along the customer journey, and you have that awareness, that engagement, that subscribe, which is sort of that top of the funnel as people are getting to know about you a little bit more, and that's where you can implement some things like an AI chatbot or something like that for your omni-channel approach. Then you look at that next stage, which is sort of that convert. Then how do we excite our customer, and how do we ascend them to the next level of doing business with us or looking at other products? And that's that consideration phase where they're just becoming familiar with the bank, or they're starting to do some business with the bank. And then we want to make sure that we give them everything that they're looking for. So what we want to do is gather all the data that we're seeing on the back end, and then offer our customers based on transactions that they're making, based on where they're going in the mobile app, what they're doing on our website, how they're interacting with us, and personalize their experience in our mobile app or on our website or in our digital banking platform specifically to them. So, if a customer's out there looking for a mortgage, and we see, we have with AI and machine learning on the back end, pulling some of that data in, learning and looking at their spending habits, or looking at what they're doing on the back end. They may not be ready at this time, but then we can also suggest to them, okay, here are some things that you need to do in order to be ready for that. So personalizing that experience for our customers is really critical. We want to make sure that we're always on the top of that and massaging that data so that we can give that experience, the experience that I know I would be looking for from any banking institution. We give that to them so they can have the best experience possible.
Excellent. I think one of the things, I mean, I have to sort of add to it and, summarize what you said. Um, some of the things were very keynote, and, as people think it's only about just the UI and all that. It's not that, right? Customer says, know me, know my micro moments, right?
Right.
Where, and then apply that to my transaction categorization, do the behavioral science, the data science, and tell me what I need. And
Right.
I know what I need, but my life events are at a crossroads of financial event, and that's an opportunity for the bank. I think that's a fantastic way to sort of put it. And that's exactly what hyper-personalization is all about.
Absolutely.
Excellent. I think that sums up the hyper-personalization. Thank you for that. My last question to you, I know that this acceleration to digital transformation or going digital, mobile, everything, it does cause some sort of challenges, right? Operationally.
Yeah.
Because, we've seen that, yeah, the big banks have a lot of resources at their disposal, but as you sort of get to regional and below that, the resources are a limit that's available. So how do you address those challenges essentially? And what are the big challenges that you see could be some sort of things that people should watch out for as well?
Absolutely, and there are a ton of them. I would say for us as we're going through this process, cybersecurity, was huge for us, and we had to pull in, some partners because again, we didn't have the expertise in house, and that's a great thing about this conference and also all the fintechs that are out there. You have the ability to pull on people and talk to people and bring them into your organization where you lack, in certain areas. So cybersecurity was that one area. And then, the investment as well. I think, if making sure that, you have specifically there are a lot of community banks that I know of right now that don't have a budget set aside for innovation. They're pulling from other areas in the organization and making sure that you have that budget set aside to do some sort of innovation and take your bank to the next level. And then thirdly, I would say probably the synergy between the IT teams, because when you look at an innovation and an innovation department, if you don't have the resources that are there, then you're leaning on your IT teams, and the IT team may not be as versed in those areas. So making sure you have a good balance there. And then the last thing I can say would probably be with your management and making sure that from your CEO and that executive suite on down, then everybody has the same sort of mindset on where you want to be. Are you that scrappy organization that you want to take it to the next level to make sure your customers are having that best experience, or and making sure that everybody in the organization sees where you're going, especially with technology. Those are some barriers sometimes that as an innovative thinker, it's not going to be easy when you go into the boardroom, right? And you're saying, okay, we need to implement AI and machine learning, and we need to use big data, and they're looking like, okay, what is all this stuff? And we've been working like how we've been working in the past. We don't necessarily want to do that because they don't understand. So making sure your organization understands where you want to go, explaining that, and then showing examples, and then bringing in partners that can help you out to really explain where you want to go in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Lincoln. I think that was very insightful, and I think it was a pleasure. I hope people who are listening also got some insights. Thank you, Debbie, for this.
Hey, before you guys wrap up this section, there is a question for Lincoln. Lincoln, are you ready to take this?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thanks. So my first question is, do you use social media data and buyer behavior in the retail world for segmentation models for the banking industry?
Absolutely, and you have to, and that's a part of when I was previously, and just to preface this really quick, I am not a banker, right? But that's what gives me the advantage because, you know, coming into the bank, I always thought like an entrepreneur, always thought like a marketer. And so, yeah, using that social media data is really how you're going to get some insights on who your customers are, where they want to go with the bank, what they want to do. And when I broke down a couple of those areas for you, that awareness, engage, subscribe, like I said, that's your top of the funnel. And that's where customers are just becoming to be aware of you, and that's how they become aware of you on social media, LinkedIn, on all of these platforms, Clubhouse, you know, explore, you know, a lot of these platforms out there. And then once you take them through your customer journey, you get to know those customers and you use that data. Now you're putting information in front of them that they're like, wow, these guys know me. You know, they know who I am. They know exactly what I want. And you've already gathered all this information on the back end, so you look smart.
Whoa, thank you. And can I take another 20 seconds? And there's one more question which we just got from Matthew Wood. Is that okay for you, Lincoln?
Sure.
Okay, in the middle of this transformation, personalization can feel perhaps cold and maybe a little mechanical. Any suggestions on how an institution can nurture a customer's emotional experience of being known and being understood? Wow, this is a good one. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I can tell you, we actually had a failure in that area. But again, having failures is what helped us to learn, right? So early on, when I came in, I came in with gangbusters. You want to go out there and you want to do all of these things, right? So one of the first things I did was I implemented an AI chatbot on our website. And I wanted was, as I mentioned earlier, our customer experience to be the best experience. So as customers were interacting with that AI chatbot, we saw some of the questions that they were asking. But we weren't able to answer those questions accurately with the chatbot because of the lack of resources that we had in the bank. So what I would say is make sure, you know, if you're going to do that, make sure you have a balanced approach. You know, I was going at it without a balanced approach. I didn't ask our back end folks, you know, can you actually handle this? You know, can you actually handle the amount of volume that's going to be coming in from that chatbot? And that's where we failed. So what we had to do was sort of adjust on that and say, okay, what we're going to do is look at some of these questions, see what questions people are asking, have the chatbot just answer that simple question, and then immediately route them to somebody that can answer that question live. Taking the customer through a whole journey where it's just them and the chatbot together, sometimes it can feel some sort of mechanical. So we said, okay, how about just doing that first question, finding out where they need to go, and then route them to a live individual that can actually balance that between the AI and actually a live person. So that's something that we had to do.
Cool. Thank you so much, Lincoln. And you really appreciate your extra few minutes. It was, and yeah, of course, AI chatbot is the current and the future. So thanks for your time. And we hope that you stay for the rest of our session and watch us till the end.
Absolutely. I will do.
Thank you, Lincoln. Thanks, Weber.